Hello, Patreon and Boosty communities, and hello to our bigger community on YouTube and Rumble also. Because as I did yesterday, dear friends, I will publish first 10-15 minutes of this news update on YouTube and Rumble. Also, the full video obviously will be published on Patreon and Boosty pages of mine. And no, what's surprisingly, yesterday's that short clip from update on Patreon did quite well actually on YouTube. Surprisingly, giving their this strict shadow ban that my channel is, and well, maybe this today's short clip from this program will also manage to reach a wider audience. We will see, but anyways, let's go through some news now that I have already bookmarked for today's main news update that I will launch during the live stream at 3 p.m. Moscow time on YouTube and Rumble. And before I start, basically, let me just make for record say that it is 23rd of June, 17 past 9 in the morning, Moscow time, and well, there are quite a number of news that I want to share for this moment, and without any further delay, let's go through these reports. RIA Novosti is sharing with the public update from Russian Defense Ministry about work of air defense forces past night. And as you can see, dear friends, on your screen, according to Defense Ministry, 143 drones were intercepted by Russian air defense forces during the night time over the Belgorod, Kursk, Bryansk, Rostov, Astrakhan regions, over the Stavropol and Krasnodar Krais territories, over the Crimea, Adygea, and Azov and the Black Sea. Vast geography of these long-range attacks on Russian Federation that are orchestrated by NATO member states and their Ukrainian proxies. Also, I want to share with you this information that yesterday late evening, some sources on the Kiev control territory reported that about 250 drones were launched by Kiev regime with the assistance of NATO member states to strike deep into Russia. And giving their update from Defense Ministry that 143 drones were intercepted, well, question is rising if this information that was shared on number of sources on the Kiev control territory is correct, and about 250 drones were intercepted, then one might assume that about 100 drones maybe managed to bypass air defense forces and hit some targets. I have some doubts about it, honestly. I mean, couple of drones maybe, but dozens and dozens of drones does not sound like a real probability, realistic probability. But nevertheless, that's the information, and it's up to you what you will make of it, of course. When it comes to these long-range attacks, Crimea was one of the main directions again of attacks, and there are a number of reports that as a result of past night's attacks, TES terminal oil transshipment and storage complex was hit. Oil depot in the port of Kerch was targeted and allegedly is on fire again, and the Port Kavkaz was once again struck by enemy. This few days ago, this area was also targeted. This is Kerch city on the Crimean Peninsula, and this is Port Kavkaz, which has energy infrastructure on it and also infrastructure for ferry movement cross the Kerch Strait. But this part is Krasnodar Krai already, I believe. So reports are that energy infrastructure was knocked out again in this direction. Let's see if we will have official confirmation of this nighttime attacks, details about nighttime attacks from Russian officials. Already situation in Crimea when it comes to logistics, when it comes to fuel supplies, is difficult, and sale of fuel, for example, for civilians is completely prohibited for a time being. Only emergency services and services that are protecting peninsula are getting fuel as of now. So, of course, any additional strikes on energy infrastructure will make the situation even more difficult, which is unfortunate, obviously. Also, we have update difference on yesterday's long-range attack with the British Storm Shadow missiles, cruise missiles on Russian Voronezh city. Yesterday I reported that air defense forces did manage to intercept several incoming this Storm Shadow cruise missiles. This is the aftermath of attack, and fragments of Storm Shadows were found in a place according to reports in Russia segment of internet. So it was confirmed that this was a British missiles, British-made missiles, and obviously, whenever Storm Shadows are used, British intelligence, British militaries are involved in this attack. It's a direct strike on Russian, deep into Russia by United Kingdom, and reports are that 7 to 9 cruise missiles were used for this attack that struck a civilian area, struck a industrial area. There are some reports that industrial facility that was targeted there had a strategical importance, so it was a strategical facility. And dear friends, according to Russian nuclear doctrine, if a non-nuclear country strikes strategical infrastructure on the Russian Federation with assistance of a nuclear armed country, in that case, Russian nuclear doctrine authorizes Russian leadership to deploy nuclear weapons if they find it necessary. So this escalation that Western ruling class, Western capitals are engaged in is extremely, extremely dangerous. Obviously, they are members of expert community out there in alternative media and also in MSM that are saying that unlike long-range drone attacks, long-range missile attacks are kind of red line for Russian President Vladimir Putin, because he himself has said something on these lines. This yesterday there was not first and not, I'm afraid, not the last time when there was a long-range missile attack on Russian Federation orchestrated by NATO member states, and I don't really think this is a red line for Russian leadership. At least as of now, there was no retaliatory steps taken against those NATO member states that are involved. And as well as I know, and everybody else, I guess, that Western ruling class and leadership of NATO member states, UK, for example, they don't care about Russian retaliatory strikes on the Kyiv-controlled territory whatsoever. And we have updated you, friends, about this attack on Voronezh. Unfortunately, 5 civilians were killed there as a result of this strike. Numerous number of civilians were wounded there. Let me give you an update on that. That is coming from governor of a region, Alexander Gusiev, who said that 5 people were killed in a missile attack by Ukrainian militaries on Voronezh. We suffered extremely heavy losses today. 5 people were killed in a missile attack on the city. Several dozen Voronezh residents sought medical attention. Their families of their deceased will receive 1 million rubles each, while those seriously injured will receive 300,000 each as a compensation from the region. But of course, no compensation gonna return the lives of the killed civilians, and no compensation gonna actually compensate harm that was done to health of the people and their psychological trauma that they will go through and are going through. So lives of these 5 killed Russian civilians are on the British leadership. Basically, they are directly guilty of killing of Russian civilians. Also, we have report that yesterday, as a result of long-range attack, drone attack, a space communications center was targeted in Dubna, which is a city in the Moscow region. And even though there are no specifics about scale of the damage that this yet another strategical infrastructure suffered, of course, this is a serious development because due to significant increase in range of these drones and missiles that Western ruling class is and their NATO member states are using basically against Russian Federation while hiding behind their Ukrainian proxies, leaves no safe space basically, at least on the European part of Russian Federation, and it doesn't look like any point can be targeted in this area. And well, TASS news agency is reporting about more attacks on the Russian Federation and more casualties among civilians. 18 people, including teenager, were injured in Ukrainian drone strikes on DPR. Also, yesterday, this information is coming from Denis Pushilin, and most of these people in DPR were wounded when a civilian bus was struck by drone. And probably you noticed difference that lately there is tremendous increase in drone strikes on municipal transporter on territory of Russian Federation, on civilian buses. And my conclusion is that in not all cases, but in many cases, these attacks on civilian infrastructure and civilian transport is due to active deployment of AI platforms during these drone attacks. Palantir is one of the companies that are providing the regime with the software, which is then used for automatization of their strikes. And AI, you understand, dear friends, AI don't really cares what to attack. It, God knows what is the calculations, right? That AI is putting it in. Once AI see that bus was used by militaries, very same AI might think any bus is now legit target. And clearly something like this is happening right now, and American IT companies are using Kiev regime and this undeclared war that West is waging against Russia as a testing ground for its AI developments, militarized AI developments. Extremely dangerous stuff, obviously. Share your opinion, what you think about it. But I think this tremendous increase in attacks on Russian civilian transporter, buses, trains, and so on, in many cases probably done as a result of active deployment of AI platforms. And dear friends, due to these long-range attacks on the Russian Federation that are orchestrated by NATO member states, significant damage was done to energy infrastructure here in Russia, oil infrastructure, oil refineries, oil depots, and more than a dozen of regions, especially in southern parts of Russia, but basically in the European part, first and foremost, are experiencing some difficulties now when it comes to fuel supplies. And you understand it's a chain, isn't it? Once you are facing fuel supplies, fuel shortages that will create additional issues with logistics, additional issues with their inflation and so on. And region after region are imposing restrictions, some sort of restrictions when it comes to fuel sales. In some cases, it's a severe restrictions, like in Crimea, where these days you cannot buy fuel whatsoever unless you are working in emergency services and are on duty. And in other regions, restrictions differs. Of course, different regions are dealing with the situation with their, differently. And we have reports that governor of Omsk region, Vitaly Kotsenko, announced that restrictions on sale of gasoline and diesel have been introduced throughout the region. At the gas station, fuel will only be filled into car tanks. It is prohibited to fill up their canisters and stuff like that to make some stockpile of fuel. Gasoline will be sold in quantities of no more than 40 liters per vehicle, and diesel fuel up to 80 liters in the city and up to 200 liters on highways. These measures are being taken to avoid artificial hype and speculations, emphasized the head of the region. So, well, it's still restrictions, not too bad, not something extraordinary. I mean, 40 liters of gasoline is good enough, I think, for a day to move around your business, to do your business. And on highways, 200 liters will do the job, I guess, right? But nevertheless, it's restrictions. It's restrictions. And also another region did the same. Temporary limits of gasoline sales are being introduced in the Saratov region from June 23rd, that is from today, to reduce unjustified panic buying. No more than 30 liters will be sold per car, announced the region's governor, Busargin. So, well, situation is definitely serious, definitely difficult when it comes to fuel supply, when it comes to energy system, and might continue to deteriorate. Because unless deterrent will be restored with the collective West by Russian Federation, or some sort of political agreement is reached to de-escalate right now and cease hostilities, of course, Western middle class will continue these strikes, long-range strikes on the Russian Federation, on all sorts of infrastructure on the Russian Federation, including energy infrastructure, while hiding behind their Ukrainian proxies. And that will make, obviously, situation ever more difficult. We will see. We will see in which direction Moscow will go, or Russian leadership